Today we're going to learn about the One Piece trading card game, and we got a interesting demo from an individual who's been in since the beginning. So stay tuned and learn how to play as we learn, and ask any questions you have in the comment section down below. Thanks. We have two Bandai decks here, which is the One Piece ST 5 and 8. Now, I guess my first question is, for somebody that comes in for this game, one, they see these on a shelf.
Yeah.
Are these going to work against each other? Are any of these numbers, like for lack of a better word, going to interact good enough, or is there kind of a stay away from a certain thing? From a person that knows nothing.
From the perspective, are they worth picking up?
If I see this on the shelf and that's all I have access to, obviously that's a good thing to pick up.
Sure.
But if I have one through, I think there's, well, you said 13.
Yeah.
So if there's a certain one, they each have an archetype or something that maybe...
Sure. Okay. So realistically, yeah, each of them has their own mechanic. I mean, obviously, when the game first came out, ST1 through 4 was just red, green, blue, purple. At the time, yellow and black didn't exist.
Gotcha.
Though black came on with the advent of OPO2 and ST06, and yellow came on with the advent of OPO3 and ST07. As far as archetypes go, each color obviously has their own mechanic, and within that, I would argue that each starter deck has their own archetype, sure.
Okay.
I would say that within colors, they don't vary significantly. So for example, ST07 and ST09 are both yellow. They're going to have the same mechanics, just different archetypes.
Okay. 7
will be Big Mom Pirates, 9 will be Yamato Land of Wano. They both center around manipulating your life cards through healing and discarding otherwise. Purple, similarly.
That would be this ST05 that we have here that I found?
Yeah, so purple, they typically deal with Dawn manipulation, negging, like destroying mana crystals a la Hearthstone, or ramping, a la green magic.
Okay.
But, 5 versus 4, you're going to have Animal Kingdom Pirates, Kaido and the rest versus Film.
So what is this number? The Monkey D. Luffy here. It's a white color, I believe.
Black.
Or black. Okay,
they're black. They deal with manipulating the cost of cards. So, for example, you see here, this is a 2. Give an opponent's character -2 cost during the turn. So what black typically does is they like to manipulate the cost of a character for the turn, and then there are cards that interact with that. So let's say, for example, the Smoker Leader, OPO2, Dawn X1, Dawn X1 activate ability, give a character on the board -1 cost for the turn, then if there is a 0 cost character on the board, get plus 1,000 power for the turn. So that's how black works, is they manipulate the cost of characters on the board, and then certain other cards have effects that basically interact based on that, like KO a character of cost 2 or less, or bottom deck a character of cost 4 or less.
Got it. So to circle back with this, because this is One Piece, this is based on the intellectual property that is One Piece. I'm assuming both the manga, depending on how people pronounce that, and then you have probably the anime series, and then now you have, I believe, a live action, which probably propelled this a lot higher.
I would say, I was going to say, the game came out a little bit before the live action. The live action is definitely a good complement. I've not had a chance to watch the whole thing myself. My understanding is it does a good job of compressing the plot line. So, side tangent, if anybody is new to the One Piece universe in general, I'd actually recommend the live action first, because that, from what I understand, does a good job of condensing the plot line. It's very daunting, the anime, because there's so many episodes out there.
I was going to say, that's my exposure. Truthfully, my exposure with this is, I think I've read one of the manga books at some point, and then I've read or watched 1 or 2 of the animated series at one point, and then I really watched that just new, Netflix series that came out, or whoever produced that.
It's Netflix, yeah.
And then, now it's hey, I want to kind of learn this.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like to try to figure out is I like to compare a lot of games, kind of the mechanics and understand how things work. So obviously, one, I like these starter decks a lot, because even though there's not a lot in them, you at least get a playmat. And on the back side of these playmats, what's nice is at least rules. There is I don't have to be online. There's just a quick, here's how to do some stuff. So what I'd like to do is maybe, have you summarize this from your perspective as a person who's played the game, because I'm assuming there's some nuances that maybe are not called out here, but I also want to keep this kind of 101 level as far as just the functionality, because I'm sure there's a much more advanced options that are out there. So which of these two would you like to maybe
I'm
play
gonna
around
either
with?
way. I've played with both.
Which one do you think would be good for a person that just literally starting out from nothing? This sounds
I
like
think
there's a lot of
this is they're both a little bit tricky, just insofar as this one you're having to keep track of your dawn count during the game. This one you have to learn your ordering is very specific in both of these. So I think they're both relatively beginner friendly, but neither one of them is easier than the other. They're both reliant on ordering your plays properly.
Got it. Well, then I'm going to throw this your way, and I'll throw this over here, because I at least know that main character's name.
Yep.
So looking at what comes in this, there are white back cards, there are blue back cards, and then there are red back cards.
Correct.
What is the delineation on these type of colors?
White is the dawn, red is the leader, blue is the main. So basically, your deck consists of 10 dawn cards, 1 leader card, and then 50 main deck cards. And those main deck cards can consist of characters, they can consist of events, and some decks come with stages. I believe these two don't, but those will have. So essentially, characters have the white border, or in the case of SR super rares, the foil gray border.
Okay.
Events will have the beige border, and stage will have the blue border, but they all are the blue-backed main deck cards.
Got it. So leader card looks like goes in the middle, so
Correct.
that's similar to like Flesh and Blood, where you have a character that's on. Now, does this person like interact? I mean, I'm sure there's things they can do, but
They will stay there for the most part. The most you'll do with them is turn them sideways to attack, and that's about it.
got it. Okay. So now these numbers are pretty huge here. I see 5,000. I've seen like 7,000, whatever. So what is there a life? Is there a
Yeah, so they go the numbers go from essentially 0 up to, I think the strongest card I've seen in the day is 12K. And those represent your power levels. Basically, the way this game works is that you will take.
So the 10 Dawn goes here.
Correct.
Okay. Is
So
that like a life?
No. So the way your life consists of, you'll shuffle up your stuff, you'll cut your hand, you'll take your hand, and then you will put 5. Well, not necessarily, but so for example, down here in the bottom right corner, every leader has a life.
Okay.
Typically, monocolor leaders will have 5 life. Typically, dual color leaders will have 4 life. There are a couple exceptions. I believe one leader has 6, one leader has 3. There are a couple exceptions, but across the board, your life can be found here. And that represents the number of cards from your deck that will come out here. So this is my life pool. You are going to win by hitting my character, making me pick these up, and then eventually when my shields, if you will, are all gone, swinging for what they call lethal.
So is that similar to like the Pokemon prize cards, essentially, where they're like face down, you don't know what they are?
Somewhat. The difference is the one piece is a little bit more, I don't want to say rubber banding, but so Pokemon, for example, I knock your Pokemon out, I pick up prize cards, my prize cards, to put into my hand. So if I hit you, if I damage you, if you will, I get more resources. This is the opposite. If you damage me, I get these cards to put into my hand to use later. So it's a question of managing resources. Technically, if you were to, let's say, if I'm at 2 life and you're at 5 life still, technically you're winning because I'm 3 life closer to quote-unquote dying. However, those are 3 more cards that I have in my hand that you don't, so I'm ahead of you on resources.
Okay, so that's almost like the game I typically play mostly is Flesh and Blood. That seems like a resource management capability or some level of being able to manage the balance of being able to kind of tempo swing back. Is a tempo a thing in this game?
For sure, 100%. And especially, we don't have triggers in these 2 decks. I do have a deck that does have those, and I can show the viewers later what that looks like, but the reality of the matter is, and that's what makes yellow really powerful, especially right now, is a lot of their cards consist around, if you pick them up from life, they have a special ability that you can activate immediately. And they vary by card. But so yeah, honestly, me damaging you isn't necessarily me winning, because I'm giving you more resources and I'm giving you opportunities to respond.
Got it. I've also noticed that these cards are, I mean, compared to other TCGs,
the card quality is very high.
Pretty
the card
thick.
quality is very high, and that's a side tangent for a different day. It's notable insofar as a lot of people like grading, right?
Oh yeah.
We'll cover that at a different time, but yeah, the card quality is very high compared to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. I've owned cards for a year and a half that still have no kind of edgeware or cornerware or anything
Nice.
on them.
And obviously we're just sitting here shuffling with no, them people are going to cringe at that, I'm sure, but obviously for starter decks, none of these are going to be worth $1 million in one day. So.
This entire pile's worth about $13.
Wow. Okay.
So
And given, I think I earlier said I paid like, what, 22 for that one?
I think that one sells for about 45 on TCG Player last I checked. So that one has a little more, but a lot of that value comes in your UTA blockers, which, again, that you'll find that commonly with these starter decks is that if they're so high on TCG Player, it's because there's like 1 or 2 cards that just carry the whole value.
Gotcha.
And you can buy them separately pretty easily.
So in this game, you have no, sideboard, or you do have a sideboard?
No, it is best of 1, no sideboard. 35
best of
minutes.
1, no. Okay, 35 minutes, best of 1, no sideboard.
I believe they're in the process, if not already. They were trying to cut it down to 30 minutes because regionals run a very long time. They're like 9-10 rounds, but yeah.
Got it. So in this scenario here, after I've essentially shuffled what I'm assuming this pile of hilarious cards is.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut each other's decks, and we're going to roll some dice to see who goes first. You want to go high or low with it?
Let's go high. Oh, you got the nice metal ones. I love those.
Oh, I love these things. All right, so I got a 6. That's pretty crap. You got 11.
Dang, almost box cars.
Right. So since you won, you get to choose whether you want to go first or second. I will tell you, in my personal opinion, I believe that deck wants to go second.
Okay, so what phases, or if you go first, what is there stuff you skip on turn?
There
one?
are no. So the difference is, and let me just cut yours and cut mine. The differences are the first player gets 1 Dawn, does not get to draw. The second player gets 2 Dawn and gets to draw a card. But in both cases, it is not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where second player can attack. Neither player is allowed to attack with anything on their first turn.
Okay, so I have a deck.
Sure. We've cut them. We're gonna stack them.
How does this work? What is official open? I have life.
We draw our 5.
Oh, so you don't put life here before you draw.
You draw your 5, and you decide if you're gonna keep or you're gonna mulligan.
Gotcha. So,
Now, in the mulligan system with this one, it's not like, say, Hearthstone where you can send back individual cards. If I don't like my hand, I send the whole hand back.
So because obviously I'm learning here, I got these 5 cards that are sitting here.
Yep.
Now I see different various numbers in the upper corner. So let's go over maybe the stats of a card real quick. So is this the cost to play in the upper corner?
Yes. So Dawn serves multiple functions. The main one is obviously being tapped or rested like you would Magic to play out your creatures. So in this case, yes. 2 Dawn, and 4, and etc.
So this Monkey D. Luffy is not that Monkey D. Luffy. So this is your leader, but this is another character you can play that's the same.
Correct. The identifiers are the set number in the corner. You got STO811 here versus STO8001. That's the one thing about One Piece that can be really confusing, is that obviously the universe is limited, number of characters, all that. So it's not uncommon for there to be, I think Luffy probably has, like, you search TCG player for Monkey D. Luffy, you're going to get like 15 different cards. Actually, strike that, I think like 78.
Wow.
Wait, yeah.
So now, as an example, you having these, in the other games, there's something that's like a unique factor, like, because it's a named character, you only have 1 in play. Is that the case? Is there a limit of, like,
No. So the only
effect?
limits to deck building is you are allowed maximum 4 copies of a card, but they can be same name, different set number. So,
but on the field or whatever, if they're played out there, I can have 100 Monkey D. Luffy.
You can have up to 5 characters on the board.
Gotcha.
But there is no restriction. The only 2 restrictions in this game: 4 copies of any given card, 5 characters on the board.
Yeah.
Beyond that, go crazy.
Interesting. Okay. So in this hand, I'm assuming I'm just gonna magically keep because that's
I would keep it. You're going second. You have 3 different things you could do with your first turn.
Got it.
And same. So you got 3 turn 1 plays. You got a turn 2 play.
Because I'm going second.
You're gonna have 2 Dawn, and then you're gonna have 4 Dawn. So it goes. Let's say I'm going first. I'm gonna have 1. You're gonna get 2. I'm gonna get 3. You're gonna get 4. It's gonna basically we get 2 per turn. But so yeah, your hand's great because you have 3 turn 1 plays with 2 Dawn, and you're gonna have a turn 2 play with 4 Dawn. You're doing great. I would keep that.
So if let's say I'm keeping this hand, perfect.
Yep. And I'll keep mine just because I've got a turn 2 play and a turn 3 play, so whatever.
Now, what do I do? Is the next part of that?
Now that you've kept it, we take our top 5.
Okay, so it's 5 based on this number.
Correct. So if you had, for example, Whitebeard, you'd put out 6. If you had Green Yellow Yamato, you'd put out 4. But yes, you set out your life equal to the number specified in that corner.
Got it. Okay.
So now we've got our turn 1. So now we'll say good luck. Have fun.
Perfect. Now the phases here.
There are no phases.
There are no phases. So this game is kind of a unilaterally phased, or just everything happens at once.
Like you see this here, but realistically, refresh phase is just make all your stuff active, which we'll get into that. Draw phase, I skip it because I went first.
Okay.
Dawn phase, I put out 1 Dawn.
But we don't play at the same time, do we?
Correct. Turn
Got it. So it is. So you would go first.
I'm going first.
Let's watch your turn.
So I have nothing to refresh. I have no card to draw because I went first. rest, I get 1 Dawn because I'm going first. I have nothing I can play with my 1 Dawn, so my main phase is a net 0. I'm going to end phase, pass to you.
Got it.
Now your turn, nothing to refresh, you will draw.
So I get 1 additional new card. In this case, I'm going to get a 1, so that's interesting.
I wish I had a 1 drop in my hand.
And then that would be,
Take 2.
You said 2. And this, the cost area is basically where your resources go, so similar like, you can be lands and magic.
Correct,
or,
no, that is your mana system,
okay.
that is your mana crystals, that is your lands, that is your,
So when these get used, do they go trash?
You rest. Some cards do, quote unquote, return them to deck. We'll get to those if we have them here, maybe we don't. So now what you're going to do is you're going to tap or rest 2 of your Dawn.
Okay.
And you can play out one of your multiple 2-cost cards from your hand.
So I have a bunch to choose from here. Now, is there obviously an event? It looks like an event does something.
You can't play that one. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. So now we have things, and just again, knowing nothing here, I'm looking, it says trigger. This has a trigger.
So I will amend myself. I forgot this deck has a couple triggers. The way triggers work is, let's say this card was here. I swing my leader, you don't block it, I damage you, you pick this up to hand.
Okay.
Theoretically, upon taking the damage, you have the ability to use the trigger ability.
Okay.
So let's say if this is in your hand, which it is, you'd have to tap 2 Dawn to play it out. If this was here and I damaged you, trigger, play this card,
Got it.
You can put it right in the board for free.
Got it. But from a hand, this is essentially, that trigger only is useful from life. So that is just essentially a 3,000 power attack.
Yes.
What is this number?
Power,
okay.
sure.
With basically a blank ability since it's from my hand.
Correct.
And that is just,
in your hand, the trigger event is net 0. It's null and void.
And then I see it says counter plus 1,000 on the side. We'll probably get to that later.
Yeah. And one thing to note for the people at home, the trigger window is solely when taking from life. So let's say you pick this up. Sure, I'm going to use it. I pick this up. I put it in my hand. The trigger, gone. Window's passed.
Got it. So then I'll just pick the bigger of the numbers because that sounds like the best thing to do.
It is.
This says the word blocker.
Correct.
I'm sure that's another keyword here. It says after your opponent declares an attack, you may rest this card to make it a new target.
Correct.
It sounds like you can target things in this game.
Yes and no. So you are only allowed to attack leaders and rested characters. There are a couple cards that have special abilities printed, allowing them to attack active characters, and we'll get into that a little bit later. The differences of active, rested, and attached.
All right.
But for now, yes, you would tap 2, you'd play out your vanilla, your bigger beater as we call it, and then you got nothing else you can pay for, so we'll pass your turn.
Got it. So at this stage, that nothing. Now, because this has some abilities, it says Dawn 3, that I'm assuming means I have to have 3 Dawn to do whatever it's asking.
So you talked about trashing. There is no trashing of Dawn, however, there is minus. So typically, let's say we're going to pass it back to me for now, just to show.
Okay.
We're going to re-up, refresh, draw, take 2 Dawn. So now, we talked about trashing, that doesn't happen, but minus is essentially returning them to your deck, and therefore setting yourself back.
But the ability maybe is a higher, or it does something that maybe offsets the...
Correct.
Okay.
So let's say for example right now, I'm going to tap 3, rest 3, whatever have you, I guess the official term is rest.
Okay.
I'm going to play out my 3-cost 5k Monkey D. Luffy.
Alright, so it's stronger than this 4. Got it.
Now, let's say I'm in a position right now where I could attack with this leader. I am not allowed to attack this guy because he is active.
Okay.
If he was rested. Whoops.
Then you can choose to attack. Okay, so that's
Correct.
kind of the benefit of
You can choose,
keeping him. Got it.
Correct. So you can choose. Typically, you can attack leaders or rested characters, which by the blocker is valuable because it. Well, you can figure out the terminology, but so yeah. So let's now we're talking about the Dawn minus. It essentially sends it back. So right now, if I were to end my turn, you take your turn. My next turn, I'll refresh these. I'll take 2 more, and I'll have 5. If I were to use that ability, I would send 3 back to my Dawn deck.
Which means you're now back to only having 2.
0. Because my next turn
would be 2.
My next turn, I won't have these 3. I'll be at 2.
Got it.
So that's that. Now, technically, I misplayed insofar as it would have been smarter to attack your face first before playing this, but semantics. So I will rest my leader to swing at your leader for 5k. Now, in this game, attackers win ties, and so this is where counter power comes into play. Right now, 5 on 5, I'm winning. If you do nothing, I would damage you and you would pick up that life card. However, if you are so inclined, you can discard cards from your hand to give yourself a power boost for the battle. So let's say you're like, you know what, I don't like that Gordon very much, I don't have a use for it. Personally, if you were to trash anything, I would pick the Scarlet because you can see it's one more Dawn and equally powerful.
Sure.
So you will counter by pitching or trashing Scarlet to give your leader a 1,000 power boost for the battle.
So basically this would go from
6K.
5 to 6, which means it would be greater
Than my 5.
And then because it's greater, I
Attack
would just
fails.
say attack fails. But
Correct.
nothing happens to you
No.
specifically.
No.
It just means that I would not take the damage.
Correct.
Which means I wouldn't have to pick up the life and put it in my hand.
And you would be, yes.
And that just would go into the trash pile. essentially.
Correct.
So that discarding or these counters on the side, I'm assuming some might have 1,000, some might say 2 or 3. Okay,
it's,
so there's
it's
different
one
numbers.
it's 1 and 2 typically. Some have 0 because you gotta make it fair. Like if
Yep.
if a blocker had counter power, that'd be disgusting. But yes. So that's semantic. So now again, technically I should have attacked before playing because order mattered. But anyways, that's the big thing about this game. There is no main phase, battle phase, main phase 2. You can do things in whatever order you like as long as you can afford it. So let's say we get to a 7 Dawn turn.
Mm-hmm.
I could play this guy for 3. I could swing, and then I could play this thing for 4.
And then
there's
swing
no
again, got it.
there's no ordering as long as you can legally pay for everything you
Got
want to do. So now that I've attacked, you blocked it. I've tapped my Dawn to play this. I got nothing else to
Is
do.
there like a thing like summoning sickness or something? Can this
Correct.
Okay.
Unless the card has Rush, which Magic players will know as Haste.
Haste, got it. Okay, yep. Very similar. So this one at this point is basically just it's there,
He's
but
chilling.
you can't use it to attack me. But you could defend with it if I came at you. Or?
No, if I had a blocker, sure. So we'll send it back to you. I pass my
Got
turn.
it. So I'm gonna, if I
Re-up
understand
here.
right,
So refresh is re-up.
refresh. I'm gonna draw
card.
1 single card,
Yep, you're gonna take 2 more Dawn.
and then 2 is always the magic number, and unless there's something said different, basically.
Yeah, no, it's the Dawn phase is always taking 2.
Got it. And at this point now I have 4. So I have multiple options,
Yep.
but it looks like I have a 4, which is a big baddie.
Yep.
I could try and do the whole, miniature rush a bunch of shit out because there's,
Correct.
1 and 1 and some other things.
Yeah.
And then there's other items.
Yeah, we'll get to that card in a second on the far right. It's
Got
a little bit unique. And just as far as it's a counter event, it's a little
So
bit.
it sounds like a cool idea for me would be let's just kind of magically make things happen here. We're going to say, okay, let's exhaust 1 to
Sure.
do that one. We'll go with the dump my hand route. We'll go 1 to go here. Now this says on play. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1, and then it says brackets like programming language.
Yeah,
FILM. Film type. So that gets into.
It's essentially a searcher for your deck. So
Got
you're
it.
going to draw the top 5. You're going to look through for something with a film archetype. You're going to show it to me to prove that you took a legal card, and then put it in your
1, 2,
hand.
3, 4, 5. Got it. So the types do make a difference in as far as what you're looking at.
Correct.
So like this says film, this says film, this says film. I'm assuming this deck was purpose built with a lot of films within
Correct.
it.
So
Got
you
it.
could basically take any of those cards to hand.
So I already have one of these, so let's
Yep.
not grab that.
Yep.
This is a really big thing, but I know next turn I'll have up to 6, so that might be interesting. This is
Another searcher.
0 power for search.
And also, you can't take it other than Buena Festa. So
so
typically,
it specifies.
searchers cannot take themselves.
Got it, which prevents you from taking. This is a trigger. So you know what? I'm just going to say let's
I
grab
would
the,
take Geeky
the,
for
the
sure.
big one.
I mean, it's pretty simple logic. You can't take this. This isn't worth playing unless you trigger it. You already have one of these, and there's 2
And there's 2 of those. Got
So
it.
now the big thing is they all go to the bottom.
Yep. So that just would exist there. Got
Yep.
it. Understood.
So now that you've done all that, you are at a crossroads now, and so as far as how you want to play the rest of your turn. You got 2 Dawn left active. You could spend 2 to play the Anne, or you could pass turn with the 2 up, or you see this plus 1,000 business here?
Okay, so there is something else these can do. That's what I was questioning earlier.
You could take this, you could put it here, and this would allow you to swing at my leader for now 5k.
Okay. And that gets back to the attacker wins a tie, meaning that if that's the case, unless he is not a blocker, so you can't choose to block, meaning that you would lose
Unless I
1,
choose to counter.
unless
yes.
you choose to counter, which is in a. That's where you would discard a card from your hand to give a bonus
Power
on
boost,
your,
yes.
and that applies to your leader as well as other characters.
Yeah, you basically any attack has the option for a counter phase, if you will, whether it's a leader versus character, whatever. Any attack has a counter phase. But so yeah, basically, you got 2 options here. You can leave this guy where
This would go to trash.
No,
right?
you played him. He stays.
Oh, it's a character.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, but it's just 0 attack.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
So, I mean, realistically, I don't know why you would. Sometimes you do have to, but you could put 5 Dawn in this guy and have him swing at my face. It's legal.
Interesting.
It's
so how does the movement of Dawn around? So if I choose to put this here, is that like a permanent
that
thing?
is
Or
stuck
is that
there
like...
until your next turn.
Got it. So
That
it's
is
like a
what we-
once per turn you can move
Correct.
things
So
around.
Dawn has 3 states. Dawn
Okay.
has active, Dawn has rested, and Dawn has attached.
Okay.
Now the refresh phase consists of bringing active or rested or attached back to active. But yeah, basically anything attached to a character stays there until your next turn.
Okay.
So
let's just try it. I mean, I have enough here. I mean, I could try again doing more of a swarm thing here, but I don't know if that's really going to benefit me. I mean, it is a blocker, so, actually, let's try it different.
Sure.
Let's go with
Tap 2
for the blocker.
play the blocker.
Let's
Alright.
do that. That sounds like a logical decision to have as many things out as possible.
Sure.
Because next turn, I think I'm going to be playing this,
Playing
which
this,
means
yeah.
I know that's where I'm going to be with my hand.
Sure. So now what you could do is you could swing the shanks for 5k. at
Oh,
my
so the
face.
leader can go to leader. Got
Yeah, that's
it.
what I did to
Okay.
you last turn.
So, all right, leader. I'll choose leader to your leader then.
Sure. So
that's where, again, if you say, I do want to lose one of the life, you could then get that to your hand, which would then give you a kind of a tempo of having
Yeah.
more cards of something you have no
So,
idea
for
what it's gonna
example,
be.
I like all of my cards. I have a use for all of my cards. I would rather just pick this up.
And then that gives you an additional card worth
my
of
hand.
choice, because next turn you're going to end up with 2 Dawns, so you'll be at 5.
Yep.
Meaning that if that card had some function, I see. Okay, so that kind of builds up.
Yeah, so there are times where I could block it, and I choose not to because realistically, I like what I've got, and I'd rather... Because right now, you're winning in that I have 1 less life than you, but I'm ahead on
But
resources.
you have a lot
I have
more
6 cards in
resources.
hand, and you have 3.
3.
A lot of your threats are in front of me, and I know what they are, aka if I can remove
And
them...
most of them are less than the 5k that you have, so unless I attach a bunch of Dawn, which basically then prevents me from playing other stuff,
Correct.
That's kind of where this gets interesting.
So there's 2 schools of thought to the game, but yeah, right now I'm not worried because most of what you have requires investment of attaching Dawn, and if I can get rid of them, you don't have a whole lot of resources left to replenish.
So if, as an example, something was attached to this and the character dies for whatever reason, what
It
happens
comes
to
back
that Dawn?
rested to your Dawn.
It just goes back. Okay,
Correct. The only time you lose Dawn is if a card specifically says return a Dawn to Dawn deck.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, then I'm going to end my phase. I guess I'm done after that attack because
Yep.
this would just do nothing. This would do nothing. And I'm assuming if it's greater than, it would just that character would die.
no. Oh, sorry. Yeah. What do you mean greater than?
So, like, if I were to say, "Hey, I want to swing with my 4,000 to this,"
Oh no, characters cannot die if the attack is blocked. The only way characters can be KO'd is if they're KO'd in battle or if there's a card that.
got it. But I am almost maxed out on mine because you said there's 5, right?
Yes.
So is that kind of Yu-Gi-Oh like? I forget. There's like a number you can only have a certain.
Yeah, you have a max of 5 on board. However, you can at any time choose to trash a character. Let's say you played out the Geeky next turn. The turn after, you could say, I'm going to trash my Buenafesta to
Got
play
it.
out Bins.
So it's not that I'm locking myself out of that
No.
zone. Okay, that was my worry by doing the kind of the
you don't
rush.
have you don't have a obviously it's unfortunate if you got to trash your own character, but yeah, if you trash a 0 cost or 0 power or whatever, yeah.
Got it.
This is actually kind of nice. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what this character does. So
Okay.
right now you've got a blocker. So
Yep.
theoretically, if I were to declare an attack at your leader, you could choose to enter the block phase, declare a blocker, and make her the new target of my attack.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you a chance to do that. I'm going to tap 4.
Okay.
I'm going to play out my boy, Kobe. He looks pretty weak. Activate main, you may rest this character. Now, when you see bold text like this,
Okay.
that is the cost to fuel its ability.
Okay.
If I don't rest it, I can't do the thing. So, activate main, you may rest this character. I will rest this character. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. Look at that, your blocker costs 2 or less.
2, 1, 1, 2. So all of these are within the scope of what that can get rid of,
Correct.
and you're
I'm
going
going to choose your blocker because...
Now I can't just choose to block.
Correct. And then your turn, whenever a character is KO'd, give up to 1 rested Dawn card to this leader.
So now that's...
He is now a 6k,
Okay.
and then I'm going to take my other active Dawn, attach it. So that's one thing to note, is that this specifically interacts with rested Dawn. If, for whatever reason, a character was KO'd and all of these were active, I would not be allowed to attach anything because none of them are rested.
Got it. Okay.
But I rested 4 to play the Kobe.
And then
got
you're
KO'd.
basically now using a benefit of a bonus because that would technically have been an unusable resource.
Correct.
to attach, but now you're
So
basically
now I'm
allowing
combining one of the rested Dawn I used to play Kobe plus my last active Dawn.
So that's kind of combo-y type stuff.
to swing at you for 7k.
Which
And
means in order to block that,
you have to make
I
8.
have to. Oh, I have to be greater than.
Correct. Attackers win ties.
So I would actually either have to dump all 3
You
or
can't.
just say, "Oh."
You don't have the Dawn to pay for the Union Armada.
I see what you're saying. So because these only give +1, my only option would be at this point to say I'm taking it.
You have to because you can only make 7k with your
Okay.
current hand.
And then
So now-
on these, is it any order or is
It's
it
the
pretty
top
much
card.
always
It's always
top?
top. So
Yeah.
typically the way it would go is you'd pick it up, you'd look at it. If it has a trigger, you decide
Got
if
it.
you want to play it. If you do, trigger.
Play it.
Da-da-da-da. Otherwise, to hand we out.
Got it.
So
Okay.
that was that there. I made an essentially unblockable attack because your hand's not big enough to do so.
And
so
then
that's
you
the
actually have another.
I do. So that was the downside there to you, quote unquote, swarming, is you leave yourself with minimal resources to deal with that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now we'll continue on by attacking your leader for 5k. Now you're in a position where you could discard one of your 3 characters to block it.
I mean, for the cost of 4, my idea would be sure. Let's do this to bump
Block
by
it.
1,000
Yep.
to
Sure.
get that, which will prevent 1. So that makes sense.
Correct.
Got it.
So that's essentially the end of my turn. I'll pass it back your way.
So refresh will happen.
Yep,
These
and
will-
so these Dawns stay attached until my next turn.
so this would go there.
You'll take 2 more.
I draw
Yes,
first,
yes.
I guess. Then I'm going to go 1, 2,
Okay.
which now gives me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep, so now this is a good side moment to educate people on events. You're looking at, let's take Lion's Threat and Union Armada here. So you'll see 2 different aspects there. Both have Dawn, cost all the same, both have triggers, hooray. We're going to look at main and counter here.
Okay.
So typically main, we talk about the main phase. That is essentially everything I just did is all part of my main phase. As such, main phase events may only be played during your turn. You would play them the same as a character. In this case, you would exhaust, tap, rest, 3 Dawn to play it, do the thing. Now you see there it says Dawn -2, so let's say tap 3, play Lion's Threat, Dawn -2, put him back in the deck, do the thing. So Lion's Threat can only happen during your turn. Now we're looking at Union Armada here. The reason you couldn't use that during my last turn attacking you was because you think of a counter spells, blue magic counter
Okay,
spells.
yep, that's kind of what I was in my head thinking. Yep.
Yep. So let's say right now, if I'm you and I have this card, if I were to end my turn with 2 Dawn active and you were to attack me, I'm gonna tap 2, play Union Armada, do the thing.
Got
So
it.
this is very powerful in that it gives your film type leader or character counters can be used for characters as well. 4,000 power, and then that was it. Blah, blah, blah. If this card's a character, they can't be KO'd for the turn.
Got it.
So the point being is they are very powerful. However, unlike characters that can be trashed from your hand for free to give a 1 or 2k counter boost, these require you to end your turn with Dawn active to play during my attacks.
Got it. So it's basically what you do on your opponent's turn for
Correct.
the most part. Got
Correct.
It. Okay.
So now we'll go back to your turn. You've got some options here. So as much as you
So
would
one
love,
option is another character,
Correct.
but you already have a 7,000.
right?
And
If you were, so just to put in perspective, if you were to tap 6 Dawn, rest 6 Dawn to play your Geeky, you wouldn't have 2 Dawn active to use that Armada.
Yep.
So obviously I wouldn't know this, but if you do that, you have a combined 1,000 counter power in hand right now, which means I could do something as simple as I attach a Dawn and swing for 6, you can't block it.
got it.
So this is where, again, we get to the crossroads of, do you want to keep up the board swarm?
So now here's the $1 million question for me. I'm looking at this character here.
He's a pain in the
So
butt.
Kobe is now that he's out there. Is this every turn you can do that ability and keep just KOing?
I must rest him, and typically there are cards that refresh characters, however, or set them to active, but typically once they're rested, they stay that way. So he's essentially a once per turn deal. But yes, for every turn he's on the board, I have the option. So if I were you, I might use your little guy and swing at it.
Okay, well that was my other question is, okay, so I can do this, or if I didn't realize, which that's the best option obviously,
100%.
I could pay 3 and KO because he's 4, he's under that 5 number.
Correct.
I could KO him if I didn't have
Correct.
an ability. Like obviously this can't do anything.
Not yet. You could, if you wanted to, attach a Dawn to it and swing
Oh, and
for
do a
1,000.
single, got it.
You
Okay.
could.
Well, that would almost seem like that'd be a...
So that's, personally, I think playing the Geeky is a poor choice right now because it leaves you in a very vulnerable position to my next turn.
Well, that's kind of where I think you're right. So let's attach this here.
Sure.
And then let's do a one, because exhausted or rested,
Yep.
I can say, let's go here.
Yep. So yeah, Buenafesta, any character, they can attack rested characters or leaders. Now, obviously, if you were to attack him, you'd fail because one's less than 5.
But can you discard the bonus on these
Correct.
as well?
Any attack, so... The whole flow of an attack is you would declare attack,
okay.
you declare target of attack, I have the option to declare blockers, I have none, so we skip that. Now we get to the counter phase. And
so this is where you'll probably want to save this character.
Correct. I'm going to discard Shirahoshi plus 1,000 to give him 2k for the singular battle. So your attack has failed. However, he is back to 1,000. So if you were to attack him with, say, Gordon,
so that's where I'm gonna say, yep, let's try this now.
So at this point, I would have to make 4k, aka I'd have to discard 3k counter power, which I guess there's no point in me keeping my hands. I've got a 2k card here. If I wanted to save it, I'd have to trash 3 of these, 1 of this, and 1 of these.
Got it. It's just not worth the card trade.
Correct. And realistically, that was my plan. But I wanted to make you invest that additional attack because that gives me targets to poke at on my next turn.
Got it. And that makes sense because you're again trying to boost your main hero up from what I can tell.
Correct. So yes, you swung 3, bigger than 1. I don't care to make 4. He died.
All right.
But again, by blocking your attack, I didn't KO it. It just failed.
Got it.
So now you're at a point where
with this,
you could put some Dawn on it to make him a viable attacker. You could.
Or I think I want to leave this 2 open so I can try this. I think that's kind of in my head what I want to do. So I have 3 to play with here.
Correct.
Now I can do this 3 and KO your Luffy.
You could.
But then I would have nothing. You'd have no other attackers other than your main, which could be one trade I could try.
Correct.
I obviously don't want to do the 6. I could throw somebody else out into the fray.
Right, but that would only leave you 1 Dawn left if you want to use your Armada.
Yeah.
So I'm saying you have 5 left. If you want to play that, you have 1 or more Dawn. You could put the Dawn here. You could swing at this. You could swing at that. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. I'm not going to advise you here. It's all...
Sure. It seems like there's a lot of... At this point now, it's kind of an open, just, this is where the experience of knowing what can combo into things might actually be a benefit.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, there's even this fun one here where you can do -3 Dawn and then, get a plus 2,000. But I think if I can pick, right, I can go win tie. Let's go leader here.
Sure. So,
and that should, in theory...
Yep. You're going to get another card out of me. I'm going to choose to discard my Luffy to give him 1,000 power for the turn.
Got it. So that just... And this is the idea. I'm just trying to peel some cards out of your hand.
Correct. You put me in a crossroads of I want to lose my board or lose my hand.
So now I can attach here.
Yep.
Which means that would be strong enough for me to say, let's try it again and see what your decision is. Like, how important is that character to your game plan?
Yep.
Because now you're down to 4 cards, I'm at 4 cards.
Correct. So we're in a pretty even state right now.
So there's a surprising amount of decision trees in this game option.
Yeah. So right now I'm thinking about my next turn. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to go up to 7, so it means I could afford any of these. If I had my way, I'd play the Garp, which would leave me 2 Dawn to do whatever I like. This might bite me in the butt later, but I'm going to trash my Kobe.
Okay.
Make him 6k, and once again, attack fails.
Got it. So at this point now, I am pretty much just, I have open stuff, and because over here, if I have this 2, I'll just go ahead and I'll throw
tap 2 and put another body on the board, Yep,
and see what happens, and we'll leave that as is.
That's the one shortcoming of this mat. It didn't account for having 5 sideways cards that really fit.
Yeah, well, at least it had a mat. I will give it that. So.
Exactly.
All right, I will end my my turn.
So yeah, technically, I will refresh. So now I'm going to go from 5 up to 7.
And then you're add 2. But 10's really the kind of the max. It can't just kind of pop from the ether or void or whatever.
No, they max at 10, and that's why when you get to 10, your Dawn minus ability is pretty good because you only go back to 10. So at this stage, he comes back up. So at this stage, I'm gonna put you in a spot. I'm going to tap 5.
Okay.
Typically, I prefer attacking before playing because it gives you less to respond. However, the way his ability works, it only interacts with Rested Dawn, which means I have to have
Rested Dawn to really benefit.
correct. So first, I'm gonna tap 5. Put out my boy Garp.
Okay.
A little 5-cost 7K beater. We love it.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to rest Luffy, swing 5K at Gordon.
Which means...
You have to make 3K counter power at least to survive.
I think it's just a good decision to just say bye-bye.
Yep.
So farewell.
Ability, Rested Dawn, to my boy.
Which that's kind of the trade-off, right? You're using that to say you want the Rested Dawn to go to him,
Yep.
essentially.
So that's, again, typically I prefer to do all my attacks first because sometimes counter events interact with the board and I don't want to give you a target.
Gotcha.
But the way his ability works, I have to have Rested Dawn to use it.
Got it.
So now we're at a state where and so from my experience, if you end with 2 up, I'm going to know you have a counter event.
Got it.
Typically, 2-cost events give 4K power. So I'm going to... I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it kind of doesn't, Okay. So I'm going to take my other 2 active, attach it, swing at your 4K Dr. Indigo.
Okay.
So
you're at 5, 6, 7, 8.
Correct. So
Which
I'm
means
making this...
even if I did something like this...
That's where we're going to pause. That's why I'm making this swing, because most 2-dot events are 4K counter. So I'm assuming, at most, all you can make is 8 and I'll still win. However, read the second part of your counter event.
You mean the trigger piece?
No, the second part, read the whole thing.
If that character cannot be KO'd during... Oh, got it. So that basically prevents it from being KO'd.
So right, I'm making this swing knowing that any 4K counter event you have won't do it. However, technically, if you really wanted to, you would still save it because he can't be KO'd for the turn. So I'm putting you in a spot of, I'm making you use that if you want him to stay.
Which means that technically, even if I make him stay now, you could theoretically come right back in with the 7 and go right at him.
I played him this turn.
Oh, he's right. Okay, got it. So
moreover, read the last part of your...
Because he can't be KO'd. Oh, so it's the entire turn.
Correct.
Ah, okay. So it would kind of just protect for a long... Got it. Okay.
So the question,
problem is... I know... But can these also be played on my turn, too, if I needed to?
Counter events, no. Main events, yes.
Got it. So because it's a counter, I can't really use this to boost him to say I want to come at you.
Correct.
So really, then I might as well. There's absolutely nothing saying...
Yeah.
So let's just do that.
All right. So but that's great for me because now that's one less counter event when I swing at your leader.
But now it's 8 to 8. But again, can't be
Can't be
KO'd.
over the turn. So despite me still winning the tie, secondary effect of the card, can't be KO'd by battle.
Got it.
So I pass. I've got nothing else. My stuff's rested.
So this will be refresh.
Yep.
Now what happens to these
Take your Dawn back to your...
Okay, so they come back.
Yep.
So it's a complete
Yep.
understanding. Those I did 2,
Yep.
and then I get one of these.
Yep, so you'll be at 8. That tracks.
Alright.
Oh, you got another Union Armada back. How about that?
Convenient.
So...
Now,
I'm not going to advise you here. You got a lot of things to do.
let's see what I can figure out. All right, so you have no blockers.
Correct.
But I want to try to do some serious damage to your hero, your leader.
Yep.
But he's at 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rest 3.
Sure.
I'm going to do this main, Dawn.
So
Dawn -2. Now, can I
go back to the deck.
Can I pick rested?
Correct. You can do rested, active, or attached.
Okay, so I'm going to pick the 2 rest to go back to the deck.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to K up to one of your characters at 5 or less. I might as well pick the 5.
And that's why you holstered it. That's why you held on to it, because 1, this is stronger than that, obviously, and 2, he is active, not rested, so you can still attack into this, but you can't attack this, so you're reaching it.
So that sounds like a solid trade.
Yep, that was top tier.
Let's go with probably the next event that I'd like to try to do. I got 5. So
At this point, Shiki's unplayable, so all you can do is done up and swing.
Let's do here, and then I'm going to try and do a KO, force KO here to see if you care enough about keeping him.
I do.
So that'll rip a card.
So I am over countering, but that's because I value that card more.
And then what I'll do here, which is
Same
interesting,
thing.
is I'm going to try and do the same thing. Go 5 Dawn into that.
That one, you can have it, because realistically, I can't afford a 1-card hand.
Yeah. And then my goal here is you're at 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
Correct.
But here, if I go 5, 6, 7, 8,
that's a big swing.
That's a big swing, which means that I should be able to get you.
Yeah, because realistically, the only way that I'd be expected to block it is if I happen to have 2 2K counter cards in hand, which is rare.
But isn't it already at 8? 5, 6, 7, 8?
No, this is your turn only. So he's at 5.
So really, I could just
do 5
and call that.
Yep, and I would decide, do I want to just discard
a card? So here, I have a better idea. I'm going to do this. I'm going to.
And you're going to force me, and I have to either pitch my 2K or
get a card.
No trigger.
And that's going straight to the leader. And then in my head, I left 2 knowing that I'm going to have that for an option.
Yep.
So, all right, and then this 0 does nothing. I'm going to go to end phase and call it for you.
All right. So yeah, now you're. It's back and forth. One could argue you're winning. You got a bigger board. I got a slightly bigger hand, but you got more life than I do. It's not great.
I mean, I think there's a lot of variables.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to tell who's really winning.
Because I've also now returned 2 Dawn as well.
Correct. So let's see what we got. First thing I'm gonna do is tap 4.
Uh-oh. I don't like the idea of that. That's what I thought.
He's back.
He's a butthead.
Yep. Rest him. KO.
Boom.
Leader ability.
And that goes back to here.
Correct. So leader ability, I get Arrested Dawn attached.
Which that puts me even further back, actually.
A little bit, yep. And then I will swing 6K at your Dr. Indigo. So once again, you're back in the spot of use Armada or let him die.
Well, I'm going to imagine here that because that's only during your turn that this can happen. And I can't leverage it for anything else.
Correct.
I might as well.
All right.
I think I'm going to go ahead.
So you're going to use it. So you can't be KO'd, and so he stays there.
Yeah.
So now it'd be nice if I had one more Dawn, but I don't. I'm actually going to choose to do nothing else.
Got it. So
it's weird, but you'll see why.
You got a lot of open stuff, which is probably scary. So.
That's what you think.
So 1, 2, and then 1 here, which gives me something there. We got a blocker again. So the next $1 million question is, what do I want to try? So you're back at 5, but you have cards in hand, so I know that the first thing we need to do is probably do a 2 here, and let's go and do here.
And I'm actually going to pitch a 2K and make you try harder. So I make him 3K for the battle, beats your 2.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to... I think the best route here is to go 4 into here.
Very much dead.
And then the next one is let's pump a 2 to your character.
No trigger.
And then I'm going to try and sneak something in here. We're going to go 2 with a blocker.
Sure.
And then, because summon I can't do anything, which leaves 1 open, I guess that's where I'm at.
Alright. So, not good for me. I'm running out of resources. I don't have a lot of resource generation.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of resources, I guess, but when you say resource generation, what are you referring to?
This draws cards.
Oh, got it.
If I have a 0 cost on the board. So we're gonna start small. I've only got 1 card in hand. It could be a 2K though, so I'm gonna force it. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna swing 6k at your Dr. Indigo.
Well,
So you could declare Anne the blocker and she will die instead. Or
you have a lot of Dawn.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and let him go.
Alright. So, unfortunately, he was KO'd, but I, again, misordered it. I have no Rested Dawn to give him, but it didn't really matter because he already attacked.
Got it.
So.
I mean, either way, it would have KO'd a character. So that
Right,
still
what I'm
would've-
saying is he doesn't get the Rested Dawn from the build,
got
but again, he's already attacked, so it's kind of irrelevant. So I'll rest 5, give you my boy Gart.
Big fat one. Got it.
And this, again, I'm going to opt to pass.
Got it. So refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And now I still get 2 from here.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to draw my 1. Alright, this is a new card. Let's see what this one is. This is a main phase once per turn. You may rest this character, trash 1 film card from my hand. If your opponent has more Dawn cards in their field, then you add 2 Dawn cards from your Dawn and then rest them. So that's a ramp card.
Correct.
Got it. So I think my appropriate actions here are to try and wipe that thing as best as possible.
I don't know if you have a method to right now.
I can't throw a because it's not exhausted, so
Yep.
I can't.
All you can do is attack this guy.
Well, I mean, it's still pressure. So
Yep.
let's first do this. Let's actually. Now this is -3. All of your film characters get plus 2,000 power this turn. I don't know if it's really gonna make a huge difference, but let's try it. Let's do this. I'm gonna take -3 Dawn, put it over here.
Sure.
Plus 2,000.
Yep.
I'm gonna put 2 to throw this out.
Okay.
And then at this stage, this is going to be, I guess, just a 2,000, and it's going to come. Oh, that'd be no point because I can't get to your leader. So I need to
But you
add
could put 3 more on it.
3. Ooh. Wait. Oh, because this one would already match. So yeah, let's put 3 on it. So that'll be
It's 5.
That'll be 5. So we're going to come at your leader for 5.
Yep.
And then we'll
Yep.
do this.
So I'll take this. One thing to note about that there, you've already attached it. If you were to change attaching is permanent. So let's say you attach it and change your mind, you can't. So
Got it. Okay.
Some people, when they're new, attach all the Dawn at first. Don't do that.
Got it.
Because, let's say, for example, there are cards that a counter event that can rest a character. Let's say you attach the Dawn, you attack, I counter, and I rest it. That Dawn's wasted.
Got it. That makes sense.
So that worked. I'm going to take it. I got no trigger.
All right. So because these are up, I guess my next option
She's
is
at 6k at the moment, yeah.
So let's do a 6 to that, and then that's going to probably force because you're at 1, so you have to.
Now, yeah, technically you have to hit me again after this is taken, but yes, I don't want to be at 0 shields, if you will. I'll give you a 2k to make 6.
Okay, and then will that allow?
5.
So that's another like trying to rob
I'll
a
give you
card.
1 to make 6.
Got it. All right. And I guess I would be done.
That's
at
all
that
you
point.
got.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
I mean, I feel like the board state keeps changing quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm on the back foot. I'm on the back foot here for sure.
But
I'm in a
Like
decent spot where I can swing, and I'm kind of forced to, honestly. I'm going to swing 5k at Anne.
okay, so right now it's just at 3,
5 versus 3.
which means it's going to
Has to go.
explode.
Yep. And this is incredibly freaking overkill, but I don't really have a choice. 7 at your 0.
Well, and I mean, that makes sense, right? But that also now negates that completely, which sets me back.
So all I can do at this point is 4 for that guy,
That's a big one.
4 for a blocker.
But see, now the board looks totally different.
Yeah, I was holding her for the longest time because her ability is all about minusing cost, and this gives me a draw, but I can't afford to hold it anymore.
Got it.
So I'll pass with 2 up.
Refresh, refresh. 2 Dawn, now I'm at 4 Dawn. See if I get something fun here. That's a big old thing. Alright, well, my only options here really are...
Did you get Dawn?
I added 2, because you KO'd that character, they went back 3.
No, they go back to your...
Oh, so those
The only time Dawn goes back is when you use Dawn minus abilities.
Oh, okay, so I actually do have quite a bit then.
Yeah.
I thought those 3 went back, that's my bad.
That'd be insane.
Okay. So really, I do have enough to do 3, 4, 5. I can actually put that out. Or, so what is this? 8K. When this character battles, strike attribute characters. This character gains +3. Okay. Oh, I see. I have the corners. That's a strike character.
Strike, wisdom, and special. I think strike, wisdom, and special.
Strike attributes characters. This character gains 3,000 during this turn. Main phase, -1 Dawn. You may return the specified number of Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck. This character gains 2,000. So this thing is just a freaking powerhouse. It just seems like. Okay, but by putting it out there, I do threaten stuff, which I guess I might as well do. Why not? Because if you have 8 or more Dawn in your field, this character can't be KO'd in battle, so that's something nice to know too. So, but I don't have 8 or more just yet, so we'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and then this 3, that's a 0, right? But it's not. I can't do anything, can't attach, so I am just going to end.
Your leader can attack.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do 5 to 5.
I'm going to use the blocker.
Putting the pressure on
I'm going
it.
to use the blocker.
That's the point.
Yep.
All right, then I'm good to go.
I am not.
I am not.
I can't think of a specific card right now.
But you have a bunch of high value stuff, it looks like.
Yeah, but I don't... I'm at a point now where I don't have a way to reach either of those, and I'm out of blockers. I can hit you at most 3 times. So I'm pretty screwed.
Because I can only add 1,000.
But I'm saying I can only hit you 3 times. You're killing me next turn. So, I mean, we'll make a go at it. I'll stack a Dawn on Laboon, swing for 7.
And you're at hero.
Yep, that's all I can attack. These guys are active.
So my only option would be is to try to attach that, but that doesn't do any good.
Nope. So, you gotta
so yep, that's coming. But that gives me an option to whatever this is now as a trigger. So play this card. Sure, might as well.
There you go.
Stick it out. That's just another thing to go for next turn. That's,
and now I'm doubly screwed. 7, the face.
Same thing. I'm gonna just go ahead and take, and let's see what it is. Nothing crazy. Got it.
No triggers. Screw it.
So life is a resource
for sure
in this game.
Yep. So at this point, I'm fishing hardcore. Rest 2.
Okay.
May add the top card of life to hand. Use Gum Gum Bell, sorry.
Oh, got it.
Give 0 cost for the turn, or sorry, -7 cost for the turn, so he's a 0 cost now, technically. I largely did that because I need all the resources I can get. I picked up my life card to see what it is. Hey, look, I actually can use it. Tap 2. If there is a 0 cost character on the board, which there is now thanks to Gum Gum Bell, he's 0 cost for turn, draw a card. So at this point, I'm just fishing to see what I get. And I've got nothing that matters. So
real quick, that Gum Gum Bell, can I read? So that took
the option, or sorry, the additional cost was add the top life card to hand.
So that's why. So if I would have done the 8, well, I would have done this too. So it would have been either of those big characters I had. It would have brought it to 0.
Yeah, and so the point of that was just I'm fishing at this point. I played this because I wanted to pick this up and see what it was.
Got it.
Lo and behold, I actually could use it because of this. So hooray, I drew a card. Unfortunately, it was equally useless to this one. So I'm at a point now where I'm going to lose. So I'm just going to, for the heck of it, swing 11k. No wait, 10k at your face. Because why not?
Which at that point, I might as well just say let's take it and draw this to see what. You know.
It doesn't matter. I'm gonna lose. You have 3, 4 attackers. I got nothing. So I was just digging for a way out and I didn't find it.
And the reason that is because none of these are blockers.
Correct, and none of these are arrested, so I can't attack them.
Got it.
So that's kind of what it came down to. Is I had the 1 life left, sure, but these were active and I had no blockers. So unless I had a way to get rid of them, yeah. So now at this point, you can literally just take all your Dawn, swing 14k, and I'm a die.
Oh, got it. So you're just saying, just if I just did this,
Because I have no life left. I have 2 cards in hand. I have no blockers.
there's no way to get enough defense to get it. Got
I
it.
made 7K and I'm dead.
Got it.
So that's a good game.
So that's interesting. So even though I was kind of putting myself back with the Dawn in the scenario where the characters were not exhausted, you can't destroy. Like I could still try to go after these, but there's no, like this one could say, hey, go here.
Yep.
You could with those probably obviously keep it if you wanted to, but that's kind of the trade-off. It sounds like is you trade either life to get it in your hand, which gives you additional resources to play.
Yep.
But your Dawn then gives you basically kind of a 1 through 10 of okay, yeah.
Yeah, so honestly what screwed me, and I say the reason I ended up just breaking like that, is I, 1, only found 1 of my 8 blockers the entire game, and 2, my removal just wasn't there.
I didn't even see the foily thing.
Yeah, the super rares are nice.
Or this. That was a...
I needed this. Trash a card from hand, KO all 1 cost or less characters.
Wow.
So that's typically, that is black. That is black in a nutshell. They manipulate the cost of characters.
Oh, because you reduce it. So that's, I get what you're saying. So because you took my 7s or whatever and reduced it to the 0s, but then play that 7 now just goes away. It's
Correct.
dead.
Correct. So like stuff like this. So here's an example of quote unquote combos, if you will. There's stuff like this, and this, I believe, are the bread and butter. Maybe this one too. I know it's here somewhere. That. So those are all the type, give a character -7 cost, give a character -4, -2, -2. So what they do is they manipulate the temporary cost of your characters, if you will, stuff like this. If there's a 0 cost character on the board, draw a card. KO all characters 1 cost or less. Rest to KO a 2 cost or less character.
So if I had these out here, what combination would let you get the most of those gone?
So what I would love to do is, unfortunately with the way Shanks is, he is very expensive and he's on play only. So 1 cost or less, it's really hard to get big bodies under 1 cost. Because realistically, this is 9. All I got is 1 Dawn to play with.
So like this is probably more realistic. Like if there.
So
was...
let's say if that was your board, I could play this for 1, give that -2 to make it a 1 cost, play this, and these 2 are gone.
Got it.
But again, realistically, the ideal scenario is, because I didn't see either of these, which upsets me. KO a 2 or less character, 2 or less cost characters. So like what I'd love to do is if you played that, I could play this, give something -7, make him 0, then play that, KO it.
And that's for 5, basically.
Yeah, or something simpler. You have your Uta. I play this, give it -2. I play this, I KO it.
Interesting.
So that's Black's line, is they manipulate the cost of characters.
And it seems like Purple kind of did a little bit of just, I guess maybe boost to, I don't want to say swarm, but like what you said, Purple is more of a...
They manipulate their Dawn insofar as they...
Because that's where the negative, I put the Dawn back, bring
Correct.
it back. And,
so you can send Dawn back to your deck to do powerful things, and then there are cards that bring the Dawn out rested, so you ramp it back, basically.
Interesting.
And again, what's important about Purple is that I have to, anything else, I have to rest the Dawn to play my cards. Dawn minus can be anything. It can be rested Dawn, attached Dawn, active Dawn. So the ideal scenario is you tap your Dawn to play things, and then you send it back to use your abilities.
So now, I see Uda in here, and you had an Uda as well. Is that the same card, or
No.
different?
So, again, the differentiator for these cards are their set and card numbers. So this is...
So like, this Uda is different than that Uda.
Correct. I mean, just artwork ability, everything across the board. The differentiator is this is ST08, whatever have you, and that's ST05, whatever have you. So like I said...
And the colors are different, right?
Well, yeah.
So does that also mean that, as an example, this is a purple card, that's a black, so that can only be played in
Correct.
a deck that uses a black leader versus this is a purple leader?
So you see these wheels here.
Yeah.
It's not like Magic, for example, where you are stuck by the color of your lands or vice versa. Your leaders have their own matching. I mean, honestly, they're all, when I say pretty simple, they'll always have black or purple or yellow in the
Backgrounds. Yep.
Yeah. But again, the helpful tool is here. So for example, you'll see, I don't have one on me, but there are dual color leaders that exist, and you'll see like black, yellow,
Gotcha.
see red, purple. And so those have access to red or purple cards, or black or yellow cards. And again, the typical...
So I just couldn't slam this in this deck because there'd be no way for it to be played.
It's illegal, frankly. No talks about it.
Got it.
Again, there are black purple leaders out there that exist, but Shanks is not one of them.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's again the offsets.
And that's part of the balancing, I'm sure, of the game.
Correct. And so to further balance it, again, this has 5, this has 5. Most dual color leaders have 4 life as a trade-off for
because
access
you have
to
a bigger
card
pool of card. Yes,
Correct.
that makes sense. Interesting. But the Dawn, still 10. You're still getting the same 10.
This is a central mana system, if you will. There are no mountains, islands.
Now, it sounds like there's fancier versions of this, because I think in a pack I opened up at one point, there was like maybe a super anime looking or fancy,
so,
you know.
There's all kinds of, everything is alt arts nowadays. So for example, I'm going to flex on people a tiny bit. I've been a Nami player since she came out. So they actually have, like, this is typically the most expensive Dawn. They have, not this one in particular, but they have...
I mean, that looks pretty.
It is, but so they, a long time ago, came out with what they call Straw Hat Dawn, or what the community calls Straw Hat Dawn. So if you look closely, you can see Nami's tattoo in the background.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you'll have that, I believe, oh gosh, I'm stretching here, there's 10 total.
Not for sale. Love it.
I know, right? Never stopped anybody. There's 10 total. Instinct tells me Robin, Chopper, Jinbei, Sanji, Luffy, Brook, Zoro, Nami, Usopp. I can't think of the last one. Frankie. Hell yeah. And so like those are the most popular. Is there's 10 of these, and so you have like Sanji's, for example, is a blue circle with a fork and knife in the background. Luffy's is, you'd imagine, red with the straw hat. Zoro is swords.
So how do people get these?
Regional events. A lot of major tournaments. That's why the major tournaments are so popular. I mean, obviously they're fun, and if you win, if you get good prize cards, but a lot of major events are the type where, $30 registration gets you product that sells secondhand for anywhere from 60 to 100.
Now, I don't remember where I got this at, but
Barnes & Noble,
there's stuff that has things like this. Now, what exactly is, when you get something like this, what is that?
If I had to guess, this came from Barnes & Noble, because that's the only place that has this, or should anyways. So you say, what is that? There's I guess the easy answer is it's a promo card. The reality is it's sneakily playable. So we talk about set numbers. You see down here, you got P00, whatever the heck have you.
Mm-hmm.
So, typically ST, starter deck, OP, as a main set, OP01, OP02, everything else. P, I gotta say we're up to 60-something promo cards now. And so essentially that's a totally tournament legal card like anything else.
And this is a leader card, it looks like.
No.
Oh, it's not.
You can tell on the bottom.
Oh, I see. Because this has it doesn't have life, and it has a cost. So
again, look above the card title. What's it say?
Character. I see. I got it. Okay.
So yeah, there's 4 types of cards. There's leaders, there's characters, there's events, and these decks don't have stages, but those exist too. Actually, I've got another example of a stage right here.
Yeah, see, like I think it was this one when I bought the pack. It was just kind of an interesting little...
Yeah, so every main set has what they call an alternate art Dawn card, and that's one of them.
Is that what that is?
That's set 4.
Oh, so that's not like a common or anything then?
It's become more common in recent sets, and in the inception, it was pretty rare, and I'm talking like maybe 1 per box, maybe, and you were selling them for $7-8 a piece.
So why, like, these look like they must have got a Japanese one at some point, but like there's Japanese one, and then there's like...
Those are just like promotional material on the back.
But they essentially still use, it's the same Dawn system.
Technically, you have to use English Dawn, but they can be anything really.
Got it.
So this is the 4th type of card. This is a stage.
Because I just realized, I think one of the packs I bought, it's this one here. It has like, there's a bunch of Japanese.
So those are not legal in American events.
I don't even know where I got it. I just realized I had it sitting there and something. So
I mean, some people prefer collecting Japanese because they're cheaper. You gotta play with English, but Japanese is cheaper to collect, like the altars and stuff. But yeah, so this is a stage.
Okay.
That's the 4th type of card, and essentially, you can see here your stage card. Typically, you can only have 1 stage on the field at a time, but it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's, each person could have their own stage if they had them.
Got it.
But so, same as anything else, you rest your Dawn, play the stage, and it just chills there for all eternity. There are a couple cards that exist that interact with, like, let's say, there's a couple cards that are like trash a stage that cost 1 or less, but typically you don't remove the stages once they're played.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, is there any other, I guess, beginner-friendly information that's worth wrapping this up with?
I guess the biggest thing, and again, this is more so for people who come from other card games that are used to organized, Pokemon, once you attack your turn's over. Yu-Gi-Oh, you got, main 1, battle, main 2, end. The biggest thing to understand is that you can play your turn really however you want to. You can play things, you can attack with things, and you can play more things, or vice versa. So, the more you play, the more you figure out your lines, your combos, but really you can play your turn however you want. And the other thing too is Dawn. Again, some people are not used to the fact of, these are typically used to pay for things, but I can also attach them to give things more power. Or in the case of, I don't think I have anything here. Actually, my other deck has one. Give me a sec.
And you've played multiple Bandai games, right?
No, this is my first TCG ever.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, but I've been in it since day one. So another common thing is you see Dawn X here.
Okay.
This refers to attaching Dawn. So it essentially fuels its ability. So let's say I attach a Dawn. On the one hand, I'm swinging for 5, 6k, but at the same time, this fuels its ability. So that attaching Dawn has two purposes. It can give people a power boost, or it can fuel abilities. So the long and the short of that tangent was, realistically, between attaching Dawn, resting Dawn, sending Dawn, whatever, you really shouldn't have a reason to end your turn with Dawn unspent unless you choose to. You know what I mean? It's not like Magic, for example, where, I've got 2 forests, but I can't afford to play anything, so I pass.
What's the biggest swing? I mean, at that end, I obviously connected almost like all 9 or so of my Dawn to my leader, and that was like a 13 or 14. Is that pretty big, or have you seen like...
22.
22?
Yeah.
Like that's extreme?
Well, because right now, again, as stretching my brain, I think the strongest, quote-unquote, highest power level out there is currently 12. So 12 plus 10, 22.
Got it.
Yeah.
I just was looking at that one that I think I had. It was like the 8 or something that did like, it had some weird, like you could add...
Yeah, but that one's stronger. There's your Douglas Bullet. So that's your 10k beater. Yep.
And there was one, that one I had out that had 2 abilities. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Because when I read it, it said you could like basically buff it up or something.
Oh, the Zephyr.
That looks like a big cannon or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not 7, he's 6.
He's that
there
guy.
He is, that one.
Yeah, the Zephyr.
So like he's 8, but then I read it here and it says, if you attack and strike, then it's 3,000. That's 11.
Yeah. So there's plenty of ways to beef up your characters. Again, it's you can make anything an attacker if you really want to. But the biggest swing I ever seen was 22k.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, back to beginner tips. I mean, really, I could go in circles all day talking about banish versus like just the FAQ, Q&A, all that good stuff. The biggest thing is just, as you've seen for yourself here, the board state can change very rapidly. It's common for new players to get discouraged. Oh, my board's gone. Oh, I have no life left. Oh, etc., etc. Realistically, the game can flip on a dime.
It does seem that way. As in, is that a feature or a bug in your opinion?
I like it because, again, it's rarely do I feel like I'm truly out of a game. You know what I'm saying? You're playing a Pokemon game, you're playing a Yu-Gi-Oh match, you're getting mana screwed in MTG, right? You have those moments of, this is a sinking ship, why do I bother, right? Like, I kind of want to just quit, right?
Sure.
Very, very rarely do I have those kind of games where, 5 minutes in, I'm screwed.
Got it.
In my opinion, there's 99% of the time, there's always a reason to keep fighting because, again, be it a trigger, be it a top deck, be it anything else, there's so many ways this game can flip on a dime. So that's, I think, my biggest tips is just get comfortable with the fact that you can structure your turn however you like, but it will take time and experience to figure out how you prefer to play your turns.
Nice.
And then just don't get discouraged if you fall behind on board or you fall behind on life, because there's all kinds of ways to come back.